right, I call this regular meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Lotz.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adrian, please call the roll.
Commissioner Shea, Commissioner Lotz,
Here.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Present.
Vice Chair Barantes,
Present.
Chair Dong,
Okay, we are going to go over the approval of the agenda order. Are there any objections to the agenda order? If there is no objection, state hearing none, the agenda order is approved.
Perfect. So then we'll note down that the agenda order was approved.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry. Adrian, please take the vote. Did I miss that part?
so it'll just be approved.
Just
Since
approved?
there were no
Okay, okay.
objections.
Okay. All right. So tonight's meeting is live streamed on Cable Channel 3 and our online platforms. If you wish to address the Community Services Commission during tonight's meeting, we request that you please complete a speaker's card and hand it to the clerk, Adrian Franquez. When speaking, please state your name for the record. If you wish to be added to the distribution list to receive Community Services Commission agendas, please email your request to cscommission@sgch.org.
Okay, public comment. This is a time set aside for members of the public to address the Community Service Commission on items of interest that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Community Services Commission cannot answer any questions or take any action until such time as the matter may appear as an item on a future agenda. Adrian, do we have any public comments for tonight's meeting?
We do not.
Okay. Next part is approval of minutes. The minutes are a record of the official actions taken at the Community Services Commission meeting on October 7th, 2024. Matthew, do we have any public comments on the action item?
We do not.
The time for public comment on this item is now closed. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the Community Services Commission regular meeting on Monday, June 3rd, 2024?
I motion to approve.
A second.
Okay, I'll go ahead and take the vote. Commissioner Shea is absent. Commissioner Lotz,
Sorry, we're voting to approve?
To approve.
Yes. I vote to approve.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Barantes,
Yes.
and Chair Dong is absent. So motion passed by a vote of 3 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 2 absent.
All right, next item is the events and program updates. Staff to provide an update on the planning process for certain programs and events. Staff also provide an updated status report on the RFP process for the recreation management software vendor. Matthew, do we have any public comments on this action item?
We do not.
The time for public comment on this item is now closed.
Sorry, I didn't realize the mic would make noise if I tapped on it.
Oh,
My apologies.
Next is discussion of the work plan. Commission members to discuss.
Sorry, we'll just jump back to the
sorry.
events and program updates really quick, if you don't mind. So just a few updates. The recap of the Fall Fun Festival and Dia de los Muertos will be held at the December meeting. So you'll get a full update on as to how those went. Just as a note, though, we did have a lower attendance on Dia de los Muertos, but I do think we were battling between all of the previous Dodgers games, Dodgers parade the morning prior, or the morning of that same day. Plus then Halloween was the day before our event, so we were kind of, the odds were stacked against us as far as attendance was concerned. So just a note on Dia de los Muertos, but overall staff did a fantastic job planning it. But we'll provide more details at the next meeting. The upcoming events that we have are the Turkey Trot on November 16th. Pre-registration is closed, but registration on site will still be accepted. However, T-shirts and the finisher medals are not guaranteed if they register on the day of. Danielle, our staff member, will typically order a surplus, so above and beyond what the pre-registration is, but it's not always enough. So if for some reason they register on the day of and we've exceeded that, then they can pick it up at our office the following, probably about 2 weeks once we order more. Other than that, we have a movie screening on the same day that will be here in the council chambers. It's a film called Fragmented. It's a short film, I believe it's about 6 minutes long, and it's in partnership with Alzheimer's LA. The next one, which is kind of the largest one to close us out, is December 3rd, which will be holiday tree lighting from 6 to 8:30 in the Mission District / Plaza Park, so right in front of City Hall. It'll be Mission Drive closed down from Santa Anita to Mission Road. And then, of course, it'll fill in all of Plaza Park right in front of the Mission Rectory. Typically, the stage is always in front of the Mission Rectory stage, which is really a dance floor. And then we use the platform in front of the rectory as the raised stage for the band and choir to perform off of. As of now, it'll be Roosevelt Elementary performing, as well as our community services dance classes and the San Gabriel Marching Band. There's still some additional community groups that are still being confirmed. And then as far as activities, there'll be the photos with Santa. People will be able to pre-register similar to how they did for the Haunted Zone during the Fall Fun Festival, which essentially gets you that fast track. The one thing we noticed from Fall Fun Festival is additional signage was needed, so people knew where to go for their fast pass. So we'll implement that change during tree lighting, so that is a bit clearer for them. Otherwise, the registration is now open for the Taste of San Gabriel component, so that will take place instead of on this portion. It'll take place right in front of City Hall, leading up to Mission Road. So it's a bit more visible, not quite as tucked away. And then there'll be a couple of additional add-ons, but those are still being finalized. So I don't want to commit to anything until we have those. Well, actually, that's the whole point of the meeting. So one of the items would be the trackless train. So staff have reached out several times to the same vendor that we used last year but haven't heard back. So if for some reason we don't hear back by tomorrow, then we'll be ex-naying that idea. And then if we need to pivot somewhere else, it may be pivoting to like a petting zoo type thing. Like if they have things that could be seen more festive. Some of them do have reindeer. So we could potentially do something like that towards the Mission parking lot, so that portion, because that's typically an underutilized portion of the park. There's a potential for doing a snow area, but that's just cool. Very costly. Wow. So if we do staff have priced it out at, I think, $4,100 for a snow sled, but that's only 2 lanes, and then a snow play area, but it's only, I think, 4 to 7 inches thick, and I think very small square. So given the volume of people that we have, it may not be the best option. Also just, again, it is still cost prohibitive to do something like that. So we're currently looking at potentially, if there were a slide, would people be willing, or a sled, would people be willing to pay $2, $3 for their child to access the snow sled versus having it as a free attraction? So we'd be happy to hear your feedback on that. But otherwise, that would be, other than the snow that comes out at the time of the tree lighting, that would be the other option. So happy to hear anything on tree lighting.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the snow goes, I know I attended the one in Monterey Park last year, and I know that they do it free for the sled portion, and it was popular. So I would think that there would be a decent amount of people who elect for it. I just wonder if, like, the ticketing system would just be on site. I imagine just kind of,
Right.
pay a couple dollars and grab a ticket. I think you could probably go without, honestly.
Okay.
With all the snow, if you have snow that's gonna like explode for the tree lighting already, I
Okay.
think kids would probably go nuts for that.
Great.
Just as it is, yeah. That's my opinion.
That's really good feedback. Thank you.
How were the lines for last year, for the sled?
There wasn't,
Oh, there wasn't any. Oh, okay.
it
So,
was just a snow one.
so
The same one that comes out of the
that's right.
tree or wherever you guys headed it, right?
Yep. Just that foam snow.
Are they increasing, are they adding another one or?
Yeah, so we'll be meeting with Public Works later this week to
Okay.
talk about logistics to see how that would work out.
Okay.
So there would be a total of 3, and then we'll just work out placement. So there was 2 last year.
There was
pointed at
2
the
last year?
same- mhm.
Same
They were just
location though?
pointed at the same
Oh,
spot.
okay, I was wondering.
Yeah. So there would be 3 kind of scattered throughout the event.
It'll be a lot better. Yeah, last year was good because all the kids ran like, it was almost stampede-ish. They ran over there to get it, so I think a lot of kids got scared and some of the parents were kind of shocked because
Yeah, we talked about it last time, right? Yeah.
they rushed us, so having 3 different spots would definitely be a lot better. Spread the crowds.
And that's foam, you said, or like
Yeah, it's a
cotton
foam,
or
right?
something?
I think it was.
It's not really,
Something.
the best description is like a foamy, soapy material. Like when you put Dawn soap and mix it, a lot of Dawn soap in with water, that's basically what it is. But there's a solution that you purchase specifically for those machines.
Oh, so it's kind of like a bubble party almost.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Cool.
free laundry party.
So just, I mean, it sounds like there's quite a bit going on already, but if we were to just recap it, like, what are all the sort of events that happen on that day, or the attractions, I guess?
Sure.
for the day?
So the things that are confirmed would be the Taste of San Gabriel booths,
Right.
the photos with Santa, the community entertainment, and I know I'm missing something. There'll be an additional photo opportunity area where you won't be able to necessarily take photos at a photo booth, but similar to how we had the archways last year where people were using that as a photo op, we'll be creating another space where people can take photos on their own with family. Even similar to Fall Fun Festival, where there was one side where it had the photo booth and then the other side was decorated where you could just take it on your phone with family members. But otherwise, that would be it.
And then the foam area.
Yes.
Plus, so we're waiting on the trackless train, you said. That doesn't look likely.
It's not looking like it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys don't reach out to more than one vendor?
We'll have to reach out to a couple other ones at this point. They're just the ones that have been successful. They're also the cheapest one.
Okay.
So since we had success with them last year and they're the cheapest, we were giving them ample opportunity. So we'll definitely exhaust other options. But if the trackless train doesn't work out, then we'll probably move to the petting zoo thought to see how that would go. There is a thought that potentially, staff looked into it last year and found that you could offset some of the costs by allowing participants to purchase oats, and then they could feed it to the, let's say, reindeer, as kind of a added bonus. They could still pet the animals or view the animals, but they wouldn't be able to feed it unless they paid the, I don't know, $2 for the
Yeah,
oats.
that's similar to previous events, right?
So we haven't actually done a petting zoo directly through the city. Lunar New Year, the vendor that did that one, has had a petting zoo. A couple of the other events, there was, I think, one in front of the Playhouse, but again, that wasn't put on by us.
I think that the expectation's already there because that's how, if you had visited other events in the Mission District, that was, you pay a couple bucks if you wanted to feed them.
Sure.
And it always seems really popular. I mean,
Okay.
I know my daughter loves it, so it doesn't seem like a bad fallback. Yeah.
Great.
I don't know, I guess if we can determine what kind of petting zoo it would be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I think the slide sounds a little more intriguing for kids.
Okay.
Personally. And I think paying a couple bucks wouldn't be too bad. What would be the price difference between the petting zoo and the,
We haven't found any cost estimates for the petting zoo just
Okay.
yet. I can say as far as the cost to the city, the petting zoo will be much cheaper than the snow. The snow is just kind of the most expensive winter thing you can bring in. But as far as the cost to the participant, it would likely be the same.
is it a slide and a little snow pit?
We would have to do one or the other.
One, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know that Monterey Park has already opened their like snow pit reservations. They do like reservations for it and everything. So I'd imagine at this point, I don't know if it's necessarily too late, but
Sure.
but what I would say is like they plan it well out, and there's still like big lines that form for that. So, I mean, it's popular. You guys know that. That's why it's expensive
Right.
and all that, right?
Right.
But yeah, I do second. I mean, the kids would love a slide if it was possible.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if there's a way, because for example, if we're going to charge for the petting zoo, if I'm thinking of operationalizing the payments to make it easier, for example, a quick ticket, because now we can easily think about the slide, how we can offset the costs, for example, or the snow. You know what I mean? So at least they just pay once and they can just go wherever. So I'm just thinking of scaling that effort. So now we won't have to think about one or the other, and at the same time, get costs offset and maybe get better snow. I don't know. So I'm just thinking if there's a way that we could make it easier. So now everyone just goes in, pay $1, for example, get 3 tickets.
I guess I'm jumping ahead, but with the RFP, but that's probably not like awarded and assigned to where we could possibly take it through that, right?
No,
Yeah.
we have the ticketing software through the Mission Playhouse, but it's not built for like time slots or anything. So it's just kind of like a one and done. So you could purchase a ticket for that event, and just similar to what you're saying, to where you could access multiple features utilizing that one ticket.
I just,
Not restricted to the time then.
Yeah. Although I'm thinking, especially for these kinds of events, we can't do it pre-selling. It's really on premise because these are impulsive behaviors, right? Oh, you want to go there. Kids, hey, Dad, pull me in. I want to go there. So it's really on premise. So I'm thinking of really having just finding a way to make it easier for people to go in, change a couple bucks and get tickets, and now they can just go anywhere. Now we're offsetting the costs.
Yeah.
And then making it just one stop for everyone.
you'd need a pretty long runway for a slide. Where are you thinking of putting it?
It would be on the portion closest to the Mission parking lot, because there's about a quarter of the park that just doesn't get used because there's nothing over there. So it would be on that portion. I don't know if you're facing the Mission, it's to the right
Okay.
from Mission Road.
And that's big enough, you think, for that? Oh,
Yeah, it's only a 2-row sled for 4,100.
yeah.
So if we did like other cities that I've worked for, we've done like 4 or 5 lanes.
Yeah. Monterey
Then,
Park
yeah, you
did
definitely
too
need,
last
like-
year. I mean, it creates a big line, but, kids did enjoy it.
Sure.
Do we have a count
That was
of, for example, how many kids went last year?
Not the total count of number of kids, but we've had several thousand like total participants.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine just $1 is so easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy. I mean, people lined up for the haunted house. I mean, I know it's free, but they waited for it. You know what I mean? So, what more for something that's obviously fun and they see the kids screaming when they slide down?
Yeah.
Just saying.
And people always go in pairs because if you have 2 lanes, right? So would it be like $2 per lane is what you guys are thinking, or?
Right.
Or maybe they can just go unlimited, because if they have several thousand, just get 1,000 for $2 and they can go unlimited. We've already offset the cost, and we were
That-
thinking already of paying.
But then you just have kids parking there, and it would be way long. I imagine 1,000 kids trying to ride 2 lanes of snow. Because it's logistically kind of slow, too, because you have to make sure that little kids can get up there okay and safe, and you have to wait for everybody to get out. So it's a couple minutes, like,
That's right.
at least per.
Or $2 would be.
Are you looking to
Tickets, you know
offset
what I mean?
all the costs, or just trying to?
Trying to bring it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Not, it doesn't need to be 100%.
So now at least we have more options for everyone, right? But yeah, something to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really good point on that, on the ingress and egress of the kids. But maybe, for example, $2, 6 tickets. You know what I mean? Something like that. So at least it could still limit it. But this is something that we could.
What do you think?
The ticket thing, I'm just kind of confused on that because we would need more than one kind of thing, I think.
More than one?
Yeah.
Like
What?
the event, like a slide, the petting zoo, and train. I would think the ticket system would be for that.
Or just for even if we did it just for the slide, like buy a ticket, you turn your ticket in and hop on the slide, I think is what it's looking to be. I mean, I would pay maybe like $1 or $2, yeah.
Yeah, right? $2, and then you get 5 tickets, and you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like 1 ticket per.
Where's anywhere? It's just a slide.
I mean, it's still okay, because at the end of the day, maybe long lines would be like, hey, let's go there first, and then they still have 5 tickets. You know what I mean? It's just.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just pay per slide, I think it would be.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's what I would think, is just to do it, you slide once. Because once you've done it, you've done it,
That's right.
yeah. And then you would just have kids parking there the whole time. And I mean, if you'd sold $1,001 tickets, I don't know if you could even do 1,000. That'd be 500, like, pairs of people. But that would offset the cost, I mean, pretty substantially, even $1,000,
Well, I mean,
$2,000.
Did we time how long it takes for one kid to get in and get out? Because that would have to.
How long is the event?
From 6 to 8:30, so 2.5 hours.
30, yeah.
So maybe prime an hour and a half for that, and then divided by the time that you bring one in and bring one out.
Yeah, we haven't done it before.
Per lane.
The slide here before, so it's hard to judge how popular it would be.
Yeah.
And it might be a little late in the game to get something.
Sure.
To advertise it and.
Yeah. Well, what we can do is, now that we know that there's a certain level of interest, maybe we can do something smaller. If the plan one would be trackless train, it would be free to the public along with the rest of the event. And then if the trackless train doesn't work out, we can find another smaller item that could replace that. That would also be free. And then we can bring it back to the commission after the event to plan for the following year. And we can work out some of these logistics and bring this to you guys. The staff member brought some of these ideas forward to me, so I'm trying to bring it to you to figure out how we can kind of make some of them
Yeah.
work, or if the community would even respond well to it. Because I know when I started working here almost 7 years ago, the response to a paid feature would not have been the same as it is now. So it's good to get the feedback.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, if it doesn't happen and the rest of the event is free, I think that, I do like that everything is free when
Sure.
you go. You don't have to think about bringing money besides for the food, right? All the vendors.
The food's going to be free.
Yeah, the Taste of San Gabriel's also free.
Oh, yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
it's just little bite sizes. It's not like a meal. I mean,
right.
maybe if you go to every single booth, you might be full, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, sounds like fun. 6 to 8:30. That's kind of quick too. I think. I don't know for all the for.
I don't know, if you get there from the
Slide.
start, it's long.
Yeah. If you got a screaming 2-year-old.
I was like, all right, come on, let's do this.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, we'll bring it back to the commission after December. We'll provide a recap, and then staff can share some of the ideas that they have for next year, what the costs would look like, and what their price points would look like, a bit more hashed out than we've had this discussion. So I apologize it wasn't fully outlined, but it's good to get the feedback in this way versus once everything's outlined, and then that's kind of staff time wasted. So I appreciate you being flexible with that. But otherwise, there's no other updates as far as events are concerned. The last update is just the RFP. We did host interviews for 3 of the contractors, one of which was the company that purchased RecPro. So we were happy to be able to offer them an interview. We're narrowing in on one, but there's still quite a few different steps that we need to do internally before we can move forward with trying to develop the contract with them and then take it to council. One of which is just the credit card processing component and the payment gateway setup and all of the additional fees that would happen with those terminals. And then just making extra sure that it has every single module that we need in order for it to be successful for both the Playhouse and community services. And then, of course, be super user-friendly on the customer end.
But in terms of timing, we're still on track, right?
Still on track. Yep. It'll be, the staff report will be ready for Rebecca's review and then the city attorney's review by the end of the week. So we're
Nice.
definitely plucking ahead.
Nice.
Yep.
Was this, I can't remember, was this the lowest bid RFP?
No.
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 It was, yeah,
Best
that's
value.
good. Best value.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Apple Pay, that makes it easy. That's
That-
all I'll
that-
say.
That's actually, I'm glad that you mentioned that. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure the ones that we landed on have Apple Pay, but let me double check.
Nice.
Or any NFC payment, right?
Yeah, I know they all have the tap to pay and the chip reader and swipe, obviously, but I would need to double check. And I believe they also, oh, no, the phone is Apple Pay, so yes, they do have Apple Pay, but I will double check. Clearly, I'm behind the times, so I don't have any of that, so I will double check. Great.
You said the Halloween will be discussed next meeting?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Should I continue?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
please.
Discussion of work plan. Commission members to discuss the items on the work plan. Staff to provide an update on the youth ambassador application. Adrian, do we have any public comments on this action item?
We do not.
Okay, the time for public comment on this item is now closed.
So just a quick update on your work plan. It did transition, you'll notice, from an annual work plan to just a work plan. And it is a, sorry, go ahead.
A rolling work
Yes.
plan, yeah, that's right.
Thank you. That's better than just work plan. I appreciate it. So it is ever evolving in the fact that you, as the commission, can add or remove things as you see fit from meeting to meeting. The intention is that you don't have to review every single item on the work plan every meeting. And in fact, we would encourage you to just work on the work plan as a group versus sparsing things out as we've done in the past. I think that might yield better results as a group to be able to have that discussion. Maybe there's one of you that will work with the staff individually outside of the meeting because of the Brown Act, but maybe collectively all of you can come with, let's say, resources if we're working, sorry, the only one that's coming to mind is the programs for persons with special needs. If we're working on an aquatics program, maybe all 5 commissioners are coming with resources to the commission meeting to build that versus maybe just Vice Chair Brontes is the only one working on it, then that's only, one very powerful brain, but you could have 5 very powerful brains working on it. So that would be our suggestion moving forward on the work plan. But otherwise, the only other change is I moved the items that the commission determined was accomplished to the very end of the work plan, just under completed tasks. So as you continue to complete them, the work plan will just reflect it at the bottom, so that way you don't forget everything that you've accomplished. But otherwise, if there's any additional edits to the work plan, feel free to let us know. And then it will be set for every 6 months for you to do a deep dive evaluation in case there's just things that you really want to either hash out or really just you don't like the format of the work plan or you don't like the topics of the work plan, then you can reevaluate it at that time.
And I think a good practice is for example, the promotion for the youth ambassador, right? Like how we're doing it, I think it's, what do you think? It's good practice, right? We have that in the work plan, and then we choose a couple who drill into the items, right? And then, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I think that's what he was getting at, and I think it makes sense.
So,
Yeah.
that's good.
Perfect. But otherwise, before you jump into the work plan, we did include the youth ambassador application. Thank you both for your feedback. If there's no further updates from Vice Chair Barantes, then we'll release it tomorrow. So it does have that cover page and then the application with kind of what's expected, as well as the one-page application for them to submit back. The deadline is Thursday, November 21st at 4 p.m., and they can email it directly to me. But we'll do the same thing that we did last time with the added suggestions that were provided by the commission at the last meeting.
Were you
As
able
far
to
as marketing.
Get in touch with anyone from Gabriel?
So once this is approved
Oh,
tonight,
okay.
then
You'll
then
reach
we'll
out.
reach out.
Okay.
And I'll make sure I hound them down to make sure we actually reach someone.
Yeah, thanks for taking all of our feedback on this. I just think, like, in terms of it being something that would engage youth to read it in the first place, we're at a better place to, just try to get somebody interested, essentially.
Great.
And yeah, if this go around doesn't work, I think we've given it a really good effort. So, but yeah, have you had a chance to look at it, Davis?
Just right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just not being able to reach the high school might have hurt us a little bit.
Sure.
Because I imagine there'd be a lot there, because that's where they got the HERE Commission got theirs, right? High school, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will say it is hard to base a lot of what the Community Services Commission does off of the HERE Commission, just because it had all eyes on it at every minute of every day, it felt like. So the visibility is much higher than the Community Services Commission. Not that people don't care, but the topics aren't quite as relevant to your everyday life necessarily, or what people are really feeling strongly in the community. They may really love our parks, or they may really love our programs, but the topics aren't quite as controversial as some of the HERE Commission topics. So just something to keep in mind. Because I know obviously I was the staff liaison for that commission as well, so I will tend to reference back to the HERE Commission, then I have to remind myself that two different commissions. So
Yeah.
just something to keep in mind as you go through the process.
Yeah.
All right. And would it be fine if we try to reach out as well to any of the schools, or we just leave that to you?
Yes, no, that's perfect. I will let you know once I've done the initial reach out, and then any additional community outreach that you can do would be appreciated.
Okay.
It's always more powerful coming from you than it is from me.
All right. I don't know, I have nothing. You guys have anything else?
No?
No, we're good, it's good. Yeah.
Do we want to dig in on the work plan at all, or save that for the next meeting?
Do you know how long they're going to be out for?
Commissioner Shea should return at the next meeting,
Okay.
but I would imagine
Yeah, she'll
Chair
take one more.
Dong would be
At least.
gone at least one more meeting.
Yeah, okay. What do you guys feel?
We still have time, right? Or
Yeah,
might as well. And then maybe have those as short-listed suggestions when Commissioner Shi is back in, right? So at least, and then we get more collaborative.
I do like the idea of, like we said, highlight what we want to dig into for the month of November. So if there's anything, I don't know, what do you guys think that's standing out to?
Well, I'm thinking if there's any, try to operate on this, like, we put in next steps, at least we know it's running, You know what I mean? If it's possible for us to have at least a detailed, okay, this is the status of this one, the next step that's running, so at least we know where we're at and what we need to do. And again, just going back to process, so at least now we're laying down good foundation for us to keep moving and how to manage this more efficiently. But for example, I know at the top of our heads, we kind of remember what we talked about, for example, for some of these items, but it's different if we actually have it, next steps, stated in there, current status and the next steps, what we're going to do. Right, and if we can put any deadlines or suggested ETAs, that'll help.
I think deadlines, ETAs might be a little difficult, really. Besides maybe the ambassador program, we have a deadline for that, but I think a lot of these are kind of just flowing,
Yeah.
kind of see how it goes. I mean, it's hard to put a date
Just
on
because
it.
I'm thinking.
I mean, if we can, that'd be great, though, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a good way for us to at least have even if it moves, at least for us to have an idea. For example, like what's our latest one? The training, for example, for everyone, right? Regarding the what's that? Autism education, for example. And so maybe like, let's say by February, we've looked at, I don't know, people who are, volunteers who would come in and meet with us, stuff like that. But something more concrete that we can put in, at least now we know that we're moving and that we're actually working towards a work plan and not just like, it's written in here and we'll have to discuss it sometime. You know what I mean? At least we have something that's concrete. We have the status and we have the next steps. We don't even have to have it, for example, we have to do it January. At least we have an idea. We've discussed that. Okay, let's have it by March. But what do we specifically have to have by March? Right? So get those.
Since it's just the three of us, why don't we just go down the list, do something really quick? Just, like you said, to have some type of notes, some type of
Yeah.
foundation, and then we can build on that once
That's right.
the other two come in.
Mhm.
So the first one, 1A, provide new programs for residents with age groups 13 to 18 and 30 to 50. I'm trying to remember what brought that on, because there's a lot of youth programs, I believe, through San Gabriel. What would be a program for 30 to 50 that we currently have?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of programs for the 30, like actual programs for 30s to 50s, other than there's like a few dance classes, like
Yeah, the dance.
we have an instructor that does adult dance classes. I can't remember the exact name, but she has a variety of them. They're kind of a mix between like fitness/dance classes that are geared towards anywhere between the 30 to 80 range, really. And then there's a couple of additional fitness classes that would fall within that. But otherwise, we don't have a ton of programming for that. It is the hardest age range to program for, the 30 to 50, because most of them are working.
Okay.
So maybe can we, for example, for a next step, have a list, just what we have currently, what we have done, and what's new? You know what I mean? Just the list is already a good next step, right? So at least we're tracking towards what do we get to do next. We get to have a reference on something that we're moving towards. So yeah, next steps is for us to come up with a list, I guess, of what's current, what we've done before, and then what are our ideas, because that will help us have those ideas that we can jot down and start. And then maybe next step after that is, okay, let's create a short list, you know what I mean, feasibilities, etc. So
For 13 to 18, that's a pretty good range for signups, would you say?
The 13 to 18 is similar to the 30 to 50 in that the programming is about the same, but it's a bit easier to program for them. But trying to get them in the door is the problem typically. Like I can bring a program for teens, which is essentially what that is, but trying to get teens in the door is typically the hardest demographic. So sometimes they're too cool to, to go to your local community center. But I don't think we have any, like, we don't have any programming at the high school, for example, but we would have programming at the middle school. We have our sports program, which is the Jefferson Middle School Sports Program. And that's for 6th through 8th. So that would be merging into the 13 just barely. But otherwise, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a list, because you said make a list of what we have and what we've done. It seems like the older age range, it's just, maybe just not appealing. But then for younger, it's appealing, you just can't get them to come in. So we would have to do something different.
Yeah, so
for
that's
the
how I was
youth.
thinking, if we could have a list first, and then once we get that, we can all review it separately, and then go to a meeting, and then we can start deciding, oh, yeah, because maybe we could do this, and then, oh, but we've already, we can assess based on what we have. That's just what I'm thinking, at least start with something more basic on our end, because I'm pretty sure if we went home today, we could have tons of other ideas that we could think about, right? But what I'm just thinking is, at least for us, in terms of us keep moving towards the work plan, whatever we have here is, let's do baby steps and at least chip away in all of those little things, right? And right now, one of those is, at least process-wise, having a list, getting it together, and then next time we meet, okay, this is our list. How do we come up with that list? How do we put it together? If anyone has an idea, do we just throw it? Do we start a Google Sheets on it? You know what I mean? And then
With
now
this
when we
list,
go-
what else do you want with the list? Enrollment
Um,
percentage? So they
Um,
completed it all the way through?
I'd say
Or just the names of the
um,
programs and that's it?
programs.
Well, we're gonna have to
target-
ask Matthew
target
for this.
Demographics, yeah. If we could have some target demographics, or at least perceived people who went as a result, you know what I mean?
So we can certainly, all of our programs are listed in the Discover San Gabriel publication. So anything that we offer would be in there. Some of the free programs would be seasonally geared, so it wouldn't necessarily be reflected in there, but all of our classes, which are the paid programs, would be listed in there, and those are, for the most part, offered every single quarter. So we can certainly send you the link to the most recent one, and then you can peruse through there. All of the classes list the price, the age, the description. So that kind of answers all of the questions it sounds like you're looking for. But otherwise, if it's a one-off, like maybe we're offering basketball next season, but we'd be offering a different sport, but those would be pretty much the only other differences.
So, for example, process-wise, if I were to start that list, like get all of those, is there any technicality if I start that and I send it to you just for you to verify and then to send it to all of us, or does it have to be only a couple commissioners?
Right, so it would need to be up to two commissioners can work on it outside of the commission meeting, and then bring it to the broader commission. But you wouldn't be able to send an existing or any communication to anything above two outside of,
sense.
yeah.
So what we could do, at least here, for as a next step on this one, I can start the list, and then I don't know if any one of you would want I'd confer with Matt on this, just to make sure that I have the list completed and all the information that I have, and then throw it on to someone who would want to do this with me, and then
Or just bring it to the next meeting.
yeah, I mean, just so we're looking at the right things, and then next meeting we can discuss it, right?
So if you'd like, I can just send you the pages that have the program,
Yeah.
so then that way you don't have to kind of extrapolate the information.
Okay.
And then maybe at the next meeting, the commissioners could come with some additional ideas for those
Yeah.
age range that are discussed, and then we as staff can put that together for you all. So based off of the discussion that you're having now, my recommendation would be to just focus maybe on section 1 and go through those items, if there's anything that you could add now, and then we'll rework the work plan to have a next step section, like what the actual item is, a next step, and then kind of any of the additional items that you have added throughout the meetings. So we can work on that later for you.
Okay.
A part of me thinks that rather than jump into like creating a new program, wouldn't it be best to try like a one-off event before trying to roll out like a whole, because program typically means that you're doing it for a whole quarter or something like this, right? So especially when I think about like trying to offer something for those with disabilities, whatever, whether that's targeted or broad, like maybe we just try an event, a singular event prior to
Yeah.
programming, right? So maybe that should be our framework for rolling out anything for number one that says create new programs and services, right? Like think about just doing something on a trial basis.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Because
And then if we see success, broaden it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because we have the expertise of the execution with them. They know how to do it, right? So if it sells, it's right, like you said. If it sells, and then we create a program. If not, find another one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then for B, with that like framework, I don't know if there's anything in the past that you guys have seen as events, whether it's offered by a school or another city or anything like that, that could be something that we try to, pilot for San Gabriel, or if this is something we should just mull over and think of as a one-time thing for.
The thing is, and this is also just how I'm trying to figure something out, is the reason why I wanted to look at all of it, because of there could be synergies between the different events. Now, it could be a running program within all of the events that we already have, and it's just now infused into the events, right? So be it a Halloween event or a Christmas event or a fall event, et cetera, if we have that program, because we know, oh, these are what happened in these events or these programs, we could put in a booth or a quick section on it in all of these events. Now, we're making the most. We don't have to even have a separate event. We're just riding on the infrastructure that we already have, and we're scaling that, right? And now it becomes an overarching thing. At the same time, everyone's putting an effort to all of these different things in all.
Just
our
dedicating
events.
a space at an existing event or program.
But again, for me, it's hopefully it doesn't hit analysis paralysis, right? But for me, it's in order for us to be able to see how we can weave everything together is to step back and see, hey, these are all the pieces. How do we put it together? It's like a puzzle, right? Because if you're looking in just one thing, you actually won't solve it until you look a little bit further. So that's what I was trying to do here. Now, both your points are really great, because now we can look at what events we can run, or be it a program, and what we can infuse. But first step is, let's try to figure out what the landscape is, so now we can decide on how creative we can get or what we can zoom into.
So this would just be for new offering that we would offer, right?
This specifically, or are we thinking
Like a new
also
program.
have
So what I'm understanding, you want to, if we're going to offer a new program, offer that and an event that we're established at.
Well, not necessarily. It could be, again, it could be anything. It's up in the air right now.
I'm just wondering, I want to pick Matthew's mind on that, because that means whoever's training or would be training would have to come to that area and kind of do a quick little setup. And then I don't know how much your team would have to be involved in. I don't know if waivers are supposed to be signed as well during that. So I'm just thinking, if we're an event, I don't think people will have that much time to really.
Well, I mean,
I mean, I like the idea. If it works, it works. Cool. But
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of other Other
makes
things.
sense. Yeah, makes sense. But I mean, for me, I think those are execution, and we can easily get into those in the weeds once we figure out the direction to go. I think the best part that we need to get at first is the direction. So at least we're looking at it a bigger picture, and we're not just creating ad hoc efforts that actually pull us out of, for example, more budget or not aligned with what the city has in terms of what we needed to do, right? If we step back and see, oh yeah, okay, this is actually in line with everything, and we can put in a new program, or it can not even be a new program, it could be a reviving a program or an event, right? But again, I don't know if you guys are familiar with G.I. Joe. That's what I grew up with. It's knowing is half the battle, right? So that's what their mantra is. It's really, if we understand where we go, this will be also easy. And then the execution would come in so easily, right?
So for those items, if the commission, I think Commissioner Lotz, you mentioned it of potentially doing like workshops of the programs that you're trying to propose rather than just offering a 10-week program. We can certainly do something like that. A lot of the A and B potentially would need to be offered by like a third-party contractor, like most of our contract classes. So we can do that as well. It's just logistically, we have to work out some of those and how the payment would work for like a one-off workshop. But most contractors are willing to do a one-off in the hopes that they're going to get a 10-week class out of it with a larger enrollment. And then the item B of getting explore program offerings for persons with disabilities, those were, staff are really just needing ideas or resources to make those happen. And again, they can be similar to it being a one-day workshop versus a full 10-week class. The only one that ever comes to mind, and I'm almost positive I mentioned it, was the silent disco. Like, that's perfect for persons with that are neurodivergent who may not be able to handle like a full-out dance party, for example. So something like that doesn't transition into a class, but something that is a one-off.
Just an event, yeah, or something. I mean, just anything like that, especially for, B, it's a start, because there's nothing right now. So, yeah, I would imagine for B, starting a 10-week thing, that would be way down the line if we got there. I think it's baby steps, little one thing a month or something, or, just starting from that and seeing how that goes. But
Yeah, and a lot of those items don't need to be as extravagant as it sounds on the page. Accomplishing B could just be sending staff the resources, meaning you've seen it in another city or you've seen a private company do it, and that's enough to get us moving on it.
Yeah, we're not rolling it out. Yeah.
Or just even finding a sponsor who wants to sponsor the silent disco is sometimes helpful for us as well.
That's
Because we can focus on the programming versus finding funding for it.
How does that work for your budget typically when you offer a program? Is it so that the revenue you bring in meets the cost of the third-party contractor? Is
Yeah.
it typically one-to-one, or do you?
That's a great question. So it depends on what you're looking at. So if you're looking at all of our contract classes, which is, again, most of what's in Discover San Gabriel, those are all a 75-25 split plus a $13 add-on for administrative fees to cover costs like the recreation software or insurance. So 75 goes to the instructor and then 25 goes to the city off of every enrollment. If you're doing something like our Jefferson sports program, that is 100% no cost recovery. It's a free program to the public. We have another one that is Breakthrough Sports, and that's another 75-25 split, but without the $13 add-on, because we will sometimes purchase equipment for that. So we're eating away at the $25. And then there's things like day camp that has to be 100% cost recovery outside of the full-time staff time. So any of the day camp director, day camp assistant director, and all of the rec leaders have to be paid for from the revenue that we're bringing in from the participants, at which we have successfully done. So it depends on which one we're looking at.
Got it. So in the 75-25, 25 is actually city revenue. Got it.
And that doesn't happen all the time, right? It's pretty much arbitrary depending on the event. or the thing, and then you guys decide, do we do free, do we do 75/25, do we do?
Yeah, so all the events can, the events depend on council's direction, and for the most part, as to whether or not, how it's going to look, and if it's going to be free to the public, or all of that. But as far as the classes, that's cut and dry. It's always 75/25. So if it's in Discover SG, they all have the same split with the city. If it's something that we're offering, that's where it's typically going to be that full cost recovery. If it's not something that's of like clear benefit, or that council has said, we want to offer a day camp program that's not cost recovery, they could do that at any given point, and we may reduce the price in order to allow more people to participate, which
Right.
isn't the issue. But I'm trying to think of one of the other ones, but Turkey Trot is another perfect example. It's the only event that we offer that is intended to be cost recovery, because there's ticket sales for that specific run. But tree lighting, again, not a cost recovery. So 10,000 is going straight out just for that, and nothing's coming back in.
Right.
I mean,
Makes sense.
financially, because it has different value.
Correct.
That's right.
Correct.
That makes sense. I understand.
Yeah, I was just asking, just thinking about, if, as a framework of if we offer this, like, it has to be something that's worth X amount of money so that people want to go, but also be logistically possible at the same time.
Yeah.
Good. I think we need ideas. That's
Yep.
what you need, ideas for those programs. Got it.
Perfect.
For sure. I mean, I'll start in that list, and so we can zero in on some of the other stuff
Great.
next meeting. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, just as a reminder, that the staff, our staff will take care of all of the programming. My job is just to make sure, how do we make it happen financially? Like, how are we going to operate? How are we going to take care of the contract? How is that going to happen operationally? They come up with all the ideas and nitty-gritty of implementation. But you guys are really the voice of the residents. So what do you actually want to see? Or what do you think would take? So that's what we're looking for, if that helps a little bit more.
Yes.
So, because I could give you 10 different answers on the financials, but I don't think you want to necessarily hear that.
Right.
You may want to at some point, but maybe not tonight. So just keep that in mind, that I'll always figure that out. I'll find a way to do it if that's something that the residents want to do.
I'll get more info on B as well through my son's companies that he works with. See if I can see if they've worked with other cities and what they may have offered.
Yeah.
And then I know I've seen on some cities' Instagrams, they've had a day for autism awareness, where they actually set up they have booths and everything set up and everything. So I'll try and find out what city it was and see if I can get more info on how they went about that as well, because that could just be a one-off, just once a year thing.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like what Matthew's looking for is just a lead, essentially. Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I'll work on B then to get more info.
Great.
Let's see, continue offering and expand internship program for youth to assist with translation services. I don't remember what was the last update on that? Or if we had one.
There really isn't an update other than that we're not doing translation services at this time. My suggestion would be to remove that item.
I was about to say, I'm
Yeah.
not doing it. Let's get it out. What brought it on? Why did we have it on here initially?
One of the commissioners decided that it might be beneficial to have translations for more of our marketing materials. For example, like the senior programs that may not be translated every single
okay.
time. Whereas we have translations for all of our large special events, we don't have translations for like our after-school program, for example. But since the translations, we found that we don't have a ton of people that are in need of that translation on our marketing materials for those events. We also have a pretty robust staff that speak a variety of languages. One of our admin assistants speaks I think 3 different languages, most of which are what's needed here in the community. And then we have people like Adrian that speak Spanish. So I think we have actually several people in our office that speak Spanish. So we're pretty much covered to be able to fill in the gaps where if people have additional questions that aren't answered on the flyer, or they can't read it because it's not in their native language, then staff can fill in those gaps.
I mean, I'm not sure what the rationale for this is, but I have a feeling it's because it promotes multilingual conversation, or even just education for people to be more multilingual. Because I can say easily, we can start promoting Google Translate, right? I mean, there's direct audio now that you can just talk and it translates
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you. But yeah, I just wanted to understand now the rationale for this, because if the idea was because we want to promote kids to practice more, because for example, if my child is only 70% adept in Spanish, hey, do this so now it makes you step up for you to be 100% fluent with your second language, so now you can help out. You know what I mean?
Seems like it was more for inclusivity, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to make sure everybody could understand that something was happening. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I agree. I think we could probably lose that one. And then as for D, I mean, that's basically what the mission of the commission is, to serve as the liaison, right?
Correct.
And I think we do this all the time.
Yeah, this is like a weekly occurrence.
Well, we have to try and attend these events as well.
Mm.
As requested,
So DI, or DI. But Matthew is pretty good about emailing us if he needs people to volunteer to go.
Oh, yeah. I was bummed I didn't get to judge the houses. I think I told him that because I was there. But because I pick up my firstborn in the valley every other Friday, and it happened to fall on that Friday. I was like, oh, I can't make it.
Mm.
You know, it'll be fun. I mean, I saw it was fun. But we'll talk about this next meeting, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
For the events, we have to request if we want to be there.
Yeah, so you can always
Awesome.
just shoot me an email or a text message and let me know that you'd like to assist with that event, and we'll get everything arranged. One of the later ones was or I think under the accomplishments was the survey. Collect survey data with targeted questions to improve, enhance, and seek additional services as needed. So, I mean, we can bring that back up and you can continue collecting data. I think the commission's collected very helpful data, and I would keep that one closed. But as far as the commission attending or assisting with events, there's certain key times where we will specifically ask for areas of need, like the costume contest judging. And then there might be others where just having your presence in the info booth might be helpful. Or whereas like fall, tree lighting coming up, we don't have any specific areas, but helping in the crafts or helping in the info booth is always helpful. And then the commission being able to reach out to the residents at that time is always helpful too.
Do we need this
Or-
as an item then, since it's kind of like Matthew does reach out on his own and we kind of know we can volunteer at these events. I don't know if we really need it on here.
Or could we create an on-demand kind of way with you guys? For example, we happen to be there. Who do we just go to? And you know what I mean?
Sure.
Is that something that's available to us too? For example,
Yeah.
I'm already there. I want to help out. Who do I talk to?
Yep.
And how can I jump in?
That's the upside of being in a small city, is you can just contact me.
He's probably going to be there.
Yeah, I will probably be there, or at least I'll have my phone on me and can contact the staff member to
Nice.
have them assist you. So, yeah, you can always just reach out.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think we could probably lose this item.
Just kind of reiterates what
It's-
we kind of do and know already.
Exactly, yeah.
So off with C&D.
Yeah, see.
And then I think we just worked on the youth ambassador program.
Yeah.
And I'm with Matthew. I think we're probably, unless you guys really want to continue, but I think that working through one, maybe next time we can work through
That's fine.
Item 2 with
Yeah.
the, yeah.
I'm good with the 1.
Unless there's anything that you guys want urgently to discuss from numbers 2 to 4.
No?
Because if there's none,
Yeah,
we
I don't,
discuss it next time.
no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, 2A is actually the same as what we just X'd out, isn't it, Commissioners, to staff the Community Services Department
It does.
information booth?
We can remove that, right?
That's, I mean, as far as it being a rolling thing,
Yeah.
it's just kind of a part of our commission.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's not really like a workable topic, yeah.
Well, since we did 2A, let's do 2B real quick then.
Okay.
Connect all geographic areas to the city, include hosting events and programs in South San Gabriel area and various other neighborhoods such as Tiny Tots Soccer Class in Marshall Park or partnership with Garvey School District. So I don't know if you guys were here initially, but we have a lot of events up here, which kind of isn't close to South San Gabriel.
Yeah.
So we don't have too many down there. So this was initially brought up to kind of see if we can get some events down there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Marshall Park, I don't know if you guys ever been there, tiny park,
Oh, yeah.
and the streets are super skinny, so you gotta be careful
That's
driving
right.
through. And
I remember
I
getting
think
locked
that
up.
was one of the locations that they were trying, oh, I think you've done events there, and it wasn't such a great turnout, if I recall.
Correct.
And we were just trying to spark something to get something going over there.
Yeah.
But it was a hard, it was hard.
I wonder if, number one, if we've ever had feedback in any of our surveys regarding that. And because, secondly, I suspect that they just probably were not used to having events there. They're like, what's that? It's probably some other private party, right? Is
Which
it?
events did you
I don't
have, do you
know.
recall?
Yeah, so we had the concert and movie over there.
Oh, nice.
2, maybe 3 years in a row.
Oh, okay.
And
See,
the turnout actually got worse
Oh,
year
wow.
after year. It was probably the strongest the first time, and then dwindled out from there. The major complaints that we've received about the park is just access to parking. And then people just get so aggravated that it's just not worth it at that point. I mean, there isn't a parking lot that's close-ish, but it's not like within eyesight to where you would know to park there either. So we've put signage, but it's just still not adequate to where people are comfortable.
Is that our only park on the south side of San Gabriel?
Technically, Vincent Lugo is in the south portion, but Marshall is really in the heart of the south portion of San Gabriel, and it's right on the border before you hit like Rosemead / Monterey Park.
I wonder if it's, instead of it being an issue of hosting events down there, more of a connectivity to events that are up here, if it's like a fun shuttle type of system, instead of people having to park
That's
and
right.
come here, it's like the event starts when you get on some type of connection to
What's the reason?
North San Gabriel. Because it's not exactly, I mean, it's definitely not a friendly walk if you were to walk like up Ramona or something like this, right?
That's right. That's right. That's a really good idea.
It's just something to mull on, I suppose.
Like a quote-unquote party bus comes around at 6 o'clock. You guys want to
Yeah.
up? You don't have to drive.
That's right, SG.
You're right. Meet at
Yeah.
this point.
Because I mean, you know, on a bigger scale, it would be like the Dodger Stadium Express, right? That's the city of LA's bus system, just carrying people to Dodger Stadium because it's insane. So if it's even just like having one bus that we set as a time, like here's your one pickup time if you want to attend the event, and then your one drop off, and see if anybody hops on or goes for it. Should be free.
Yeah. They do that for Hollywood Bowl. I mean, it's paid, but
Yeah.
it makes it easier because we all know how crazy it gets with parking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Hollywood Bowl, you're paying for the ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you pay for, the idea is there, but yeah, you pay on both ends in that circumstance.
I don't know. I don't know if we
That's
even
a
have
good
a bus.
We do not. We have the Ride SG service, which has vans, but they're very small now because they have to be nimble enough to be able to make it efficiently through the very narrow streets of our city. I think the maximum capacity is 4, and that's not including if you're using a wheelchair, then it's a wheelchair and one other person.
Got it. We don't have a bus?
No, we don't have we have 2 bus systems, not through the city, through
We contract
Metro.
buses?
We don't
Oh,
actually
oh.
contract out through them. It's just the Metro
It's a
happens to
countywide.
go through the city. But there's actually no bus that I know of that goes through the south portion. It's really like off of Las Tunas, I think, is where the bus passes through.
Yeah.
And there's a couple bus stops there. And there might be one other street that it has a bus stop, which is why the council decided to go with Ride SG.
Got it.
Is there a benefit that we can subsidize? I'm not sure how the government works, but for example, hey, if you get for example, far-fetched idea, report card, right? You have a report card, you go up there, you get it stamped, you get $500 off your property tax, stuff like that, if you attend. You know what I mean?
What?
Something that's more like trying to pull them in. Hey, this works for those in that area. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm just going far left with this idea, just so to spark up creativity, because it just what's a benefit for them to come in? We're trying to make them first just see, oh, we actually have great events, we should go, but we can't make them see that unless they show up.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know, it's like a Happy Meal, right? You guys know the Happy Meal, right? People buy so much more McDonald's because of the Happy Meal.
Yeah.
That's why they promote the Happy Meal. So we just have to create that Happy Meal for that area, and now they have to go and.
Is there any data on folks from further, like, I guess, the south side of San Gabriel attending? It's not really like we don't know from what neighborhood people are attending from, right? It's usually-
Correct.
yeah. Just
Correct,
how many
yeah.
residents? Yeah.
Right.
We do survey. I mean, I know we do surveys. This is why this is good, because we're trying to weave things in. Maybe try to email or send mail to the people there, and then, hey, if you submit your survey, you get a chance to win a $25 gift card.
Sure.
As simple as that. And then we can start. So now we have an opportunity to really pick their brains and like, hey, why aren't you guys going? Or what will make you go? What do you think are events that you think you should, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it does seem like a real issue that only, closer to San Marino, Pasadena, basically the more affluent side of the city is getting the city events. So I agree. Like, maybe there is some way to communicate.
Yeah, I think we need to have just more events down there instead of trying to get them up, as you said, to the fluent area. you know.
Yeah, meet them where they are.
I mean, because they are part of the city.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is part of the city, so we should try, if we can, get some stuff done.
This just
Yeah.
seems like a problem of space.
But it's just a space.
Which
It's not-
means, well, I guess we just need to understand, maybe we can start with that survey, because now we could create, like you said, Davis, have those events there. We understand, because they actually want a pancake eating contest. We haven't had that, you know what I mean? But we never knew that. Now we do.
Sounds like fun.
Okay, fine, let's
All the
do-
pancake eaters are,
You know what I mean?
I would
So
come.
now, okay, we'll do that kind of event there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it starts with knowing, so survey maybe.
We can certainly send the current survey results, and maybe that'll help
Mm.
kind of direct the commission a bit with
Yeah.
some of those responses.
Perfect.
And then, any additional, I think small scale events would be something that we would be able to program there more successfully. I think when you look at the larger scale events like the concerts and movies, that's where you might run into issues. So redirecting the size of the event might be an alternative way to go as well.
Are the surveys super anonymous? Like we can't zoom into, these are the responses from the ones more in South San Gabriel.
Correct. Yeah, they're completely anonymous. Yeah.
that's a good start.
If we're a part of groups, like Facebook groups that are part of the San Gabriel community, would it be fine for me to say I'm on the commission and I want some input type deal, or? is
That would be amazing. Yes,
Okay.
those are all things that we as staff can't access. So that's more beneficial than I think you would even realize. So that would be great.
Do we have anyone scraping, for example, the Nextdoor app or something?
Not that I'm aware of. If we do, it would be our public information officer, and I don't
Okay.
believe that they run anything through there, or if they're viewing the content on
Is it something we
Nextdoor
can
app.
suggest, just so if someone could, I don't know.
It's kind of like 4A, if you look. Initially, they want to use social platforms to reach various audiences. WeChat was one of them, but that would fall along Nextdoor, all that, so.
So I'm thinking if someone was already trying to analyze the data, like, oh, these are the things that happen, or these are what they care about. You know, because for us, it's a lot of someone stealing Halloween decor, and and there's a coyote out.
It's a lot of jargon, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can add it to that subsection.
Yeah.
So are we going to do a survey for then 2B?
Or I think the next step would be to check first the survey results.
What we currently have?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we want to continue on, or?
No. Do we want to, for the next meeting, should we circle back through these two items, or do you guys want to push on to the next?
That's fine, because it looks like 3 is just the one item, community diversity.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4, yeah, because it looks like 1 is the biggest one here.
The two that stand out to me are both a matter of inclusion, which is 1B and 2B, and like really how do we connect the south side of San Gabriel, and how do we engage our community with disabilities. So I think if we kind of focus on those two, maybe for mulling ideas, sending resources as we can, and then kind of circling back on this in the next meeting.
But you know what? We'll be surprised once we figure out the 1B and 2B. We're answering number 3, and we're figuring out number 4 too. It's just aligned. It's aligned.
So they all kind of.
Yeah, because we get the basic, the core things that we need to focus on in the first 2. It actually, 3 and 4 are more execution. More in the secondary part, right? Because once we get a lot of learnings already with 1 and 2, and
Do you
then
remember why 3 was added specific? Do you recall? Because it sounds like it would cover, as, you know, he's saying
was
1B
it in
and
response
2B.
to the dissolved commission?
Yeah, so the
Yeah, probably.
headings for 1, 2, 3, 4 were all taken from the HERE Commission's work plan. And then the specific items under those were added by the Community Services Commission. So you could remove 3 and 4 altogether if you wanted to and replace them with something else if you'd like, or just remove them and not replace them.
Like something to do with parks.
So like 4A and probably 4B can go under 2.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to connect, and
I think we've done some good crossing off and
Yeah.
thinking things through, you know, for game planning for our next one. But what did the HERE Commission stand for? What, like HEAR? I
Oh, like
imagine was
what
an
the actual
acronym.
acronym was? The
Yeah.
Human Equity Access and Relations Commission.
Oh, yeah. So that makes sense that they were touching on a lot of this.
Nice. A lot of people don't know their acronyms. I was thinking, oh, I didn't know. Maybe let's check, but. Yeah.
I mean, why was it disbanded? Was that something to do with the businesses of San Gabriel, like some emblem or something? I was
Sure.
like hearing some.
There was an item for what was proposed to council was the All Are Welcome program. Kind of separate from that, though, was the discussion that the commission no longer fulfilled the needs of what it was intended to. and that the council ultimately determined that it would be better suited to be held within the city council, and that two council members could serve as an ad hoc committee to address the items of concern as they were presented by residents. For example, they just submitted a report back to the remaining remaining council members to show kind of the research and conversations that were had specifically with the LGBTQ plus community, and recommendations that they provided to staff to be able to provide, or I guess less recommendations, more requests of staff to post additional resources on the city website or into the Discover San Gabriel publication specific to the LGBTQ plus community. For example, they saw that there were resources for other communities within the city, but not necessarily the LGBTQ plus community. And they discovered that through their conversations with other community stakeholders. So that ad hoc committee replaced the HEAR commission. So hopefully that answered your question.
They absorbed it, basically.
Essentially.
Yeah, and made it a subcommittee. Cool.
So what, we want to cross out 3?
Um,
Move for A and B?
It's a bit redundant.
Yeah, I have a feeling if there's anything that doesn't intersect, we could just put the 3 and 4 into the 1 and 2. You know what I mean? If there's anything that,
Hopefully the ladies don't come back and think we just scrapped their entire work plan.
we'll just tell them they forgot it because they're still under, they tend to forget after epidural.
Be careful. Be careful, a commission of 3 men can't comment on that.
All right, let's
But yeah,
move on.
I think we could
All right.
probably.
Matthew, we'll
Absorb
cross
that.
out 3 and 4 and move
Could
4A and
we,
4B.
sorry, I just want to make sure that if we cross it out, it's not forgotten, because should we just roll it up into them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Move, I think, A and B into 2.
Got it, okay.
4A and 4B into 2. It'll what, be 2, yeah, the letters will change, but yeah. Matthew knows. All right. I think we're good for that. Do I go ahead and move on to commissioner reports? You guys are good? Any other? No?
No, nothing to report.
All right, each commissioner may address the Community Services Commission and public on matters of general information and/or concern. This is also the time for commissioners to report on conferences and/or meetings they have attended. Commissioner Lott, you had nothing.
Yeah, nothing further.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
No, I'm good, thank you.
And I have nothing for myself. Staff comments. Staff members have the opportunity to address the commission and public on matters of general information and/or concern.
Sure. So we just have one item, which is the Veterans Day ceremony, which is coming up on November
11th?
9th, Saturday, November 9th, I apologize, from 10 a.m. till 11 a.m. over at Plaza Park. It is sponsored in part by the Veterans Memorial Coalition, so you'll see the uniform display as well as other military items that Art with the Veterans Memorial Coalition has done for, I think this is his 3rd year with us. So that's always been well received. They'll also be giving out Starbucks at the event. And then the Kiwanis has sponsored the event by providing box lunches for people to take home at the end. And then there'll be a full program of events that are happening with dignitary speaking up on the stage, which is similar to the tree lighting, so right in front of the Mission Rectory, right in Plaza Park. And then the flags will be on display this week and then taken down early next week in Plaza Park as well. So it's the 200 flags that are displayed within Plaza Park. But otherwise, that's the only update we have.
Are they having that veterans lunch again?
We have absorbed the veterans lunch into the veterans ceremony.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Okay, adjournment. The next regular Community Services Commission meeting will be held on Monday, December 2nd at 6:30 PM. Information regarding matters to be considered at each meeting will be available on the Friday before the Community Services Commission meeting on the city's website at www.sangabrielcity.com. This regular meeting is now adjourned at 7:56 PM.